South Point is also proud to provide a variety of relaxing amenities for the guests who want to be pampered. Soak up the sun and let your stress melt away in our lagoon-style paradise swimming pool. A relaxing getaway where you can bask in the desert sun and enjoy seasonal food and bar service poolside. And if you really want to escape, come to Spa Costa del Sur. From couple suites to a co-ed wet area, our spa caters to business and leisure travelers who want to unwind and elevate their senses. A visit to one of our spa's steam, sauna, or whirlpool treatment rooms will leave any guest feeling like they can take on the world. Our gaming amenities include over 60 table games and over 2,600 of the most popular slot and video poker machines. We have penny slots, including the popular Buffalo games, and real machines like Wheel of Fortune, Triple Sevens, and Megabucks. If you prefer video poker, try Deuces Wild, Double Bonus, or a variety of multi-denomination games. Or try your hand at one of the most popular casino table games in the world, Blackjack. Don't let the game intimidate you. Blackjack, also known as 21, is both easy and fun. And our dealers are always happy to assist. And the best part? Blackjack always pays 3 to 2. Next, check out the roulette tables. Roulette is one of the easiest casino games to learn, and so much fun to play. It's a favorite of both beginners and seasoned players. In addition to blackjack and roulette, our casino pit features over 60 popular table games like Baccarat, Pai Gow Poker, 3-Card Poker, Ultimate Texas Hold'em, and Mississippi Stud. So get out of your room and come join in the fun.
It's Sports by the Book at the South Point Studio. Here's Jeff Parles and Alex White.
Good morning. Welcome in. It is Sports by the Book here at the South Point Studio. Jeff Parles, Alex White alongside. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning.
We got ourselves a golf preview coming on the back end of the show today. Barry Phillips will be on set with us. We'll get his thoughts. Oakmont, U.S. Open. Rough looks ridiculous, but we know how the USGA wants to build out these golf courses. Of course, matchups readily available here at the South Point right now. So we'll have a full preview about 30 minutes into the show, 10:30 with Barry Phillips right here on the program. So we're looking forward to that, Alex.
Yes, we are. Hopefully nobody drops any gloves by the time we get out of here for this
McCormick
hour.
already did. It's okay. It's okay. We're already up the creek on that one there, Alex. But we have a good show. Speaking of what Alex just said, we'll get into baseball in a second, but we'll start with the hockey last night. It was a beatdown. Florida 6, Edmonton 1, but even with a blowout score like that, by the way, if you hit the over, you got there on a late 5-on-3 goal by Evan Rodriguez. But you have to worry about the mental psyche of the Edmonton Oilers after what was, quite frankly, a moronic display in the third period last night from Edmonton. Just total goonball last night at the end of that game from Edmonton. Just cheap shots. They were lucky there was no real injuries at the end of that. Eddie O, our good friend Eddie O, had said he was surprised that McDavid and Draisaitl even went back on the ice the last few minutes, and I agreed with him with all the cheap shots that and game misconducts that Edmonton took at the end of that game last night. And you just worry. And look, we've talked about that there's extra days off here. And, I think the extra days off are going to help potentially for Edmonton, where if they got back on the ice on Wednesday, this might spiral out of control. It's 3-1 heading back. All right, catch your breath, get your brains in the right state of mind. And again, I said it yesterday, Alex. I was fully prepared. All right, you know what? If Edmonton loses a game like 4-2, 4-3, 5-3, something like that, where Skinner doesn't totally implode, which was also an issue last night. All right, I'll take Edmonton at a plus price on the series price. They're plus 210 now. After watching what I watched last night, I'm not going to bother because I am just so concerned about the mental aspect. And look, we know Florida are agitators. We've known this. That's part of the reason they're as successful as they've been with a cup championship and a cup appearance the last 2 years before this. They're in Edmonton's head right now, and it goes one way or another, but I do think that extra day off helps Edmonton more so than having to get right back out there tomorrow, Alex?
I definitely think it does. I don't think you should overreact too much. I mean, I really felt like that was such a Florida spot, going back home, having the first game, having their crowd there, and it definitely was. I think Edmonton will be fine. I like the leadership that they have there. I mean, we've seen Connor McDavid really step up and get after his players and his teammates. I'm sure he will be doing that in the next few days. He seemed very calm and collected at the end of that game for everything that did happen, and he said, we have to play better. That's probably the worst. They have not seen our best yet this whole series, so we got to get this next win. So I think that's a great price there on the series. They tie it up. They're going back to Edmonton. It's best of 3, and they have home ice. You're not getting a plus 210. So I do think that there's value in that number there, and I like them to win the game and to tie it up here.
That's plus 20 here at the South Point. You can get as good as plus 30 in the market for game number 4. We'll preview it on Thursday. We're going to, again, 2 days off here, the extra day with the NBA. NBA doesn't even come back until tomorrow, which the 3 of us, Kenny, will be back tomorrow. We'll preview that. Oklahoma City still sitting in the 5-point favor with a total of 228 on the NBA side of things.
Only one concern I do have is I'm very curious to see how they decide to play their goalies now. I would imagine that Skinner will be back out there.
I would say so. And
kind of blame it more on all the penalties and the power play goals. Florida did have 3 of them and let him start. So we'll see what decision they make, but I think that would probably be the way they go, right?
I would be surprised if it's Pickard instead of Skinner. Again, Skinner didn't have it last night, but no one had it last night for Edmonton. And honestly, I was a little surprised they didn't pull him earlier just to not. Yeah, again, you didn't play well last night, but don't give up and don't see another one get behind you.
Right.
A little bit surprised that they didn't pull him earlier last night, but an extra day, I do think that extra day can help Edmonton. If the Panthers win game 4, then Edmonton's going to have to do what Florida did last year and win 3 consecutive games. Or, do what they did. Well, Florida won 3, then Edmonton won 3.
Right.
They're going to have to, you understood what I said. Edmonton's going to have to do what they did a year ago against Florida. 3 in a row would win the cup, as opposed to last year where 3 in a row just got into a game 7 before they fell just shy in Sunrise. All right, let's get to baseball here on a Tuesday. Just a little bit after 10 o'clock here on the West Coast. And we begin in Pittsburgh, where the Red Hot Pirates all of a sudden, right, Alex? Red Hot?
Yes.
Nice 10-3 no sweater last night on the Buccos. They've won making 5 out of 6 and 4 in a row for Pittsburgh now here on this homestand. Marlins just, again, it's been a bad year, and it's only going to get worse more likely than not. It's Alcantara and Keller, 2 guys who have in the past who have had big-time success, obviously. Yeah, Alcantara, former Cy Young Award winner, but have really struggled this year. Both guys coming off of injuries a year ago. Alcantara didn't pitch at all last year, as we know. It's minus 45 on Keller, plus 30 on Alcantara, a total of 8 here at PNC tonight, Alex.
I think this is such a cheap price here on the Pirates. I really like first 5, though. I'm going Pirates minus 135 in the first 5. I like them at the full game as well. I mean, there's only so many chances we can give Sandy Alcantara. It's not coming back very quickly here for him. His medians on the year going 5 innings, 5 hits, 4 earned runs, and just 2 strikeouts to 2 walks. You mentioned it. Mitch Keller's been a little up and down, but his median numbers are a lot better, going 6, 2 earned runs, 5 strikeouts to just 1 walk. So I like the fact that they're on a nice winning streak and that they get to see Sandy. And, we've kind of been fading him all year. So I think that's a good price there on the Pirates.
It was a good one last night. We talked about that as well. Again, that big Perez pitched well and then imploded in the 3rd inning. I would only be a look to Pittsburgh here, but we talked about yesterday the reverse, like team on a streak. Do you really trust the team on a streak that's really not a good team? That's really the bigger question, more so than anything on my end. But I would only follow you on this one, Alex. Laying a run and a half is plus 50. That's not a terrible price either. First 5 run line.
There we go.
As we like doing that here on the show. Plus 05 on Pittsburgh laying a half a run. Not terrible on that. You could go with that if you want a Keller just generically minus 35 on the first 5 at PNC. All right, we go to Philadelphia next. Phillies walked off the Cubs last night. Somehow that game managed to stay under. but an important win for Philadelphia with the struggles that have come about over the last 10 days. We're 1-9 in their last 10 entering yesterday. It'll be the big-time prospect Abel against Colin Rea tonight for Chicago. Philly slight favorite at home, -110. 9.5, juiced slightly to the under at Citizens Bank tonight.
Well, I do think Mick Abel has been awesome. I don't know how long this can last. He has not walked a guy yet in 11 and 1/3 innings pitched, and he does have 11 strikeouts in those 2 outings against Toronto and Pittsburgh in those. But I do like him in this spot. I think he'll be okay. One of the best games on the board, and I really don't even have a play. I think all the numbers are correct here. Neither pitcher really want to give enough to take off of the total. A lean maybe to that first 5 under again between these two, but nothing strong.
I'm a little bit surprised by the 5 in the first 5, but again, this is the wrong ballpark to really mess with it. You've mentioned it. Abel's only given up 1 run in 11 innings. 11 in the third so far. He hasn't walked anyone. He's been great. He's the Phillies' top pitching prospect for a reason. So, I had to stay out of this. Ray has been up and down to begin the year. His good's been good. His bad's been very low level. So we'll stay out of this here tonight. Weather in Philadelphia is 80 degrees with a wind slightly blowing left to right. A little more of a lean to right field. So
the interesting thing with Rhea is take out both of his Cincinnati Reds starts, and his numbers look really good. So I don't know what it is about that lineup and that team, but if we're just, I do 5. That's a lot here for first 5 between with these two pitchers going.
5, and it's juiced to the over as well. So you could even get a nice little price on the under if you wanted it. All right, game 3 on the card today. We go just up the Jersey Turnpike, across the GW Bridge and the Triborough. It's the Mets and the Nationals tonight at Citi Field. Good pitching matchup. Mackenzie Gore, the ace of the Nats, on the bump against Griffin Canning, who, again, we've talked about. Canning's been awesome. Had back-to-back rough starts, but was great in his last time out. 5 shutout against the Dodgers, leading the Mets to victory in the middle of last week. Canning's -50, 7.5 is the total, +135 on Mackenzie Gore and the Nats tonight. We've talked about home road splits for the Mets. The Mets are now over 500 on the road, but still hold baseball's best home record at 24-7. So they have been great at Citi Field, as we've talked about, 8-2 in their last 10. Again, out to a 4-game lead in the NL East over Philadelphia.
Now, you can get half a run here. Run line first 5 with the Nats, -135. I don't hate that at all. I'm leaning to the National side, but I'm not going to trust their bullpen here. But I do think that number's a little bit steep with Mackenzie Gore on the other side. I do think that the Nats have the starting pitcher advantage. And while Griffin Canning has been very good, I worry about him against this Nationals lineup that is just a bunch of lefties here. On the other side, the Mets actually hit lefties pretty good. They are 10th in OPS in the league. And then when you go and you look at the numbers in the last 7, Washington's offensive numbers are pretty brutal. 183 batting average in the last 7, 217 OBP, and 36 WRC plus. So that is a reason why this did not make my board, or I have not bet it. But now looking first 5, maybe getting that half a run and it being tied there, that's probably the way I would play it. But I'm going to pass on this one.
This is the first start of the year against the Mets for Gore. He missed them in that 4-game series in Washington earlier in the year. Canning, his start against Washington, 5 innings, 7 base runners, no runs, 5 strikeouts, so he scattered. That was a game the Mets won 19-5. So that was a little bit of take the foot off the gas pedal with using Canning, who threw 90 pitches in 5 innings, was not his most effective, but still easily got a blowout victory on that day in D.C. back in April. All right, we go to Milwaukee next. Braves finally busted out last night. Ronald Acuna hit a homer. Matt Olson hit a 2-run homer. And the Braves get on the board with a victory last night to snap their losing streak as they beat the Brew Crew 7-1 at AmFam. It's Holmes, it's Priester. Holmes is a road favorite here. Again, Grant Holmes, we've talked about him. You look under the hood, it doesn't look great. But if you look at the generic baseball card stats, they look okay for Holmes. Priester's really the same deal, actually, for Milwaukee. This total feels low at 8.5. I wish I trusted these offenses a little bit more than I do at the current moment, because both of these pitchers are due for a bad outing. Just if you look under the hood, neither of these guys' numbers are particularly good.
I have to agree with you on that. I do think, though, Priester worse than Grant Holmes even. And, I mean, looking at Grant Holmes in the last three offenses that he's seen, their batting average of 254, so not great, but 262 xFIP, so pretty much right there as expected. Priester, on the other side, 197 batting average, but it's xFIP all the way up to 307. I think it's a pretty cheap price. Can the Braves keep it going and get two in a row here? I would be willing to take a shot at minus 115 on them to find out. I do like what I saw. We did talk about it too. You got Chris Sale on the mound. This is where you got to, have your stopper, and maybe they can keep it going here.
It is for Milwaukee. We've talked about it. Brewers have played better of late, and you got to stay tight. As we talked about in this NL, Brewers right now 3 games out of a playoff spot. Entering the day, they're 5.5 behind the Cubs. Atlanta, look at that, Ryan, with 100 games to go. We already have a playoff picture ready to go here on the show. Braves all the way down there, as you mentioned yesterday, Alex, only ahead of the Pirates, the Marlins, and the Rockies. It's not where you want to be, even on June 10th, with a lot of ball to be played. Again, not impossible. We saw last year the Mets with the second worst record in the National League entering the month of June. They end up making it all the way to the NLCS. The Nats famously were 9 games under 500 on June 12th. The year they won their World Championship in 2019. It's not impossible, but in a very stacked at the top National League, you do not want to be trying to make up margin with Atlanta like Atlanta is. 13 behind the Mets, 9 behind San Diego for that final wild card spot entering today's action. Again, a ton of ball to be played, as we know, over the next few months. All right, we go to Colorado next. Rockies, as you see on your screen, a nice hearty 12-53. That's even with their sweep of Miami last week. They got swept at home by the Mets. Now they welcome the Giants. And look, it's very simple for the San Francisco Giants, who just swept the Atlanta Braves. And this is the case for everyone in the playoff picture. You just got to handle your business. You can lose, especially as an NL West opponent. You're going to lose. You're going to lose a game or two against Colorado, even if they only win 45 games. That's just how it's going to be when you play them 13 times during the season. Tonight, it's Harrison and Palmquist. Kyle Harrison's a minus 210 favorite, 11.5 the total. But you're the Giants. You just got to rack up the wins. Yeah. Rack up the wins against Colorado just because that's an advantage. You get extra games against the Rockies this year where they look to be all-time bad. And you're the Giants. You just got to rack them up. I would only look to lay in the run line, maybe look for an alt minus 2.5. Palmquist was a little bit better his last time out, but again, he has been as bad as anyone this year as a starting pitcher.
Oh, yes. Numbers are really bad. Not a strikeout guy. You're right, though. His last one, he did have 8 against the Mets, just 2 walks. But other than that, it has been a pretty rough start for him. Neither of these teams are great against lefties. We've got the Giants that are 24th OPS and the Rockies that are 29th. So, I mean, it's at Coors Field. I'm not that confident. Looking at the Giants' last 7 games, 201 batting average, 259 OBP, and 65 WRC plus. The Rockies are actually better than them in their last 7. So don't really want to take an over with either side. I mean, maybe a Rockies team total under in this situation if we trust Harrison, but I really don't know what to do with this. It's tough. I mean, 11.5. Feels a little high for both of these two lineups going up against lefties, but you just talked about Palmquist, so this should be a get-right spot. Or not a get-right, they're coming off of a sweep as well, but it should be a continuation, stack up the wins here for the Giants.
And just stack them up. That's the rule of thumb for all these NL West teams. When you play Colorado, just one on top of another, on top of another, on top of another. Again, Giants entering today's action tied with Philadelphia for the top wild card in the NL, and more importantly, only a game and a half behind the Dodgers in the NL West. That NL West, at least at the top, while the Dodgers have played 500 ball for the better portion of a month, has really stacked together, even with that win last night in extra innings. for LA, who we'll get to right now. Dodgers won 8-7 in extras last night. Manny Machado was very aggravated at the home plate umpire in the extra inning, and deservedly so. Padres with Dylan Cease are small favorites. Dodgers, it's going to be a bullpen game one way or another here today. Total of 8. I'm just staying off here. Cease against undecided is a slight advantage to Cease, but need to still see a little more consistency from Cease, who, again, started this year really poorly and still hasn't fully gotten out of the funk he's been in most of the year.
No, but you can expect it to happen here. I mean, even though his ERA is not great and his win-loss, I mean, his strikeout-to-walk ratio is very good on the year, but it's just the Dodgers, so it does scare me a little bit. 85 strikeouts to 24 walks on the year. Let's look at his last 3. So his opponent batting average 300, but 270 for his xFIP. So, I mean, better than Bobby Miller. I'm curious to see if he is the starter here, how he does, because he's really worked in relief for the Dodgers. Now he's back up from OKC. Did really good in AAA, though. I mean, even against Vegas, Round Rock, Reno, some of these good AAA teams. But I think these numbers are just right. I really didn't find anything. It's a lean to the Padres, especially after that loss yesterday and trying to get one back here against the Dodgers. But I really have nothing.
Yeah, this is a stay off more than anything. Again, the tight game, wild game last night in San Diego. Back and forth, but the Dodgers ended up winning 8-7 in 11. All right, now we go to Baltimore next. Best record in the American League. We've talked about the Detroit Tigers, who are just playing at such a high level. Just took 2 out of 3 from the Cubs at home over the weekend. Now they go to Baltimore. We've talked about the Orioles. Again, a little bit better, but still 12 games underwater. It's Povich tonight against Herter, and majority of a bullpen game here tonight for Detroit. Total of 9. Alex, I know it's a bullpen game. I know it's you don't know what you're always going to get with it, but you're giving me the best team in the American League at a plus price against a pitcher who's been really mediocre for the most. Well, can't be really mediocre. You're just mediocre or you're not. But a mediocre pitcher. You're getting a mediocre left-handed pitcher. Tigers have hit lefties well. I beat me, Baltimore. If you do, so be it. I'll be on the Tigers here. That is surprising to me that you're getting a plus price.
Yeah, no, it is a little bit too steep here. I don't know if there's enough. I really think this game should be about a pick 'em, but I mean, getting that plus 110, I can't hate that at all. Cade Povich, very good strikeout guy, but that's about it. He's got a ton of walks in his starts besides his last one against the Mariners. But really, he's not going that deep into games. The last one he did go 5 1/3, but before that, just 4 2/3. I think the Tigers are going to be able to get to him here. I think it's Sawyer Gibson Long getting the start again in this one, who didn't have a great outing his first one. Only went 3 2/3. But we'll see how long he goes in this one against the Orioles here.
Gibson, so it looks like that Detroit go Herter for an inning and then Gibson Long.
Yes.
With the lefties at the top of that lineup for Baltimore. That's what it looks like.
Yep.
Again, just pay attention when you're looking at this here today. But that's what Alex said. Gibson Long is going to be the bulk guy here today.
Yeah.
One way or another. All right, we go to Boston next. For a short slate, there were some wild things that happened in baseball yesterday. Red Sox and Rays just played a bonko game at Fenway last night that landed 10-8. That was also an 11-inning decision. Rays win it. Rays are playing really well, just very quietly, up to 36-30 on the year. Red Sox, as we talked about, just can't find it consistently. It's going to be Pepio and Giolito tonight. Red Sox small favorite. That's a favorite flip from the opener. Total 9.5 tonight at the Fens. Scattered showers could play a role here tonight. Total on this one 9.5. Alex.
Went over yesterday. Got there pretty easy. I'm very tempted to go right back to it with both of these lineups. I know Pepio has been very good, but I think we're going to see some regression from him. Looking under the hood for him, his numbers are not great. And while there's not too many hits there, just not a great strikeout to walk ratio for Pepio. And then looking at his last 3 starts, 127 batting average, but a 378 xFIP. So I do think that the Red Sox, who have definitely woken up here, especially offensively, looking at their last 7, 288 batting average, 397 OBP, and a 149 WRC plus. So I like runs in this one once again. I think that's it is so tough with 9.5, but I mean, I think you just got to go back to it.
I can't blame you. Can't blame it. It'd be the only look. I really would have loved to have seen a 9. There is actually 1 9 in the market right now, so you can. I would go find it. Well, the only problem is on our screens, it's the one book that usually doesn't change their numbers properly, so may not be there at the moment. But be on the look for a 9 if you can find it in Boston tonight. All right, we go to Minneapolis next. Simeon Woods Richardson makes his return from AAA St. Paul. He's on the bump tonight for Minnesota. Tyler Mahle will go for the Rangers. We've talked about Texas. Their offense has just been so inconsistent. I know Corey Seager. We're not Kyle Seager. What are we, back in 2016 and the Seattle Mariners? Seager, his injury really has played a huge role here for Texas's offense. Twins, very quick after that big streak, have just maintained good enough to at least stay in second place in the AL Central and stay in a wild card slot entering today's action. Again, about 100 games to go for everyone, so those standings that you see on the screen could change about 150 times over the next few months. But, Alex, it would only be a look to the under at 9, just with the struggles of Texas's offense, and Mahle's been really good. So he has the ability to at least slow down his Minnesota offense. It'd be a look to the under at 9, but nothing crazy for me.
It's a very tough handicap here because if you look at the last 7 days for both of these, or the last 7 games offensively, I mean, you're right. The Rangers have been awful. 62 WRC plus a 204 batting average. On the other side, the Twins look really good. 250 batting average, 353 OBP, and 129 WRC plus. So it's kind of a matter of how do you think Richardson is going to do here in this one against the Rangers. And then on the flip side, I do think Tyler Mahle might be hittable. And we saw it in his last start against Tampa Bay. 5 hits, 4 earned runs on those 5 hits. He did go 5 1/3. But, I mean, just looking at his opponent's batting average compared to the xFIP, I mean, 230 compared to 471. I do think there's an opportunity for the Twins to get to him. So that's the only way I would play it. I don't love it, and there's not a huge value, but I'd be looking at the Twins here.
Minus 20 on Minnesota if you wanted. That is the best number in the marketplace at the moment. All right, we go to Kansas City next. Battle of lefties, Max Fried. As we know, the Yankees has been spectacular coming over to the Bronx. The Royals will send Nick Cameron, who we've talked about, a little bit lucky. Has pitched well, but has been a little bit lucky in his starts. Minus 90 on the Yankees, plus 170 on the Royals, total 8.5. Boy, I wish there was a little bit of a better price on the Bombers here. I'd look at the Yankees, but minus 90 is steep on the road here tonight. So it's a pass for me, Alex.
I like that run line with the road team. Minus 1.5, minus 120. I think that's a pretty good price here. I mean, you just got to keep backing Max Fried when you can. And the Royals, I mean, we've talked about their struggles. They have been better offensively. But really, I trust the Yankees bats a lot more. And I think there's an opportunity they could get to Noah Cameron here, even though he has been outstanding. It's kind of a step up in class here against the Yankees. So I do like them on the run line.
Don't mind it. It's better than minus 90. I can tell you that. Again, Yankees settling in with the second best record in the American League. All right, we go to Houston, the other division leader in the AL. McCullers goes for the Stros tonight, taking on the Chicago White Sox, who will throw Smith on the bump. Minus 70 on the Stros, plus 55 on the White Sox. Total 7.5. Yeah, Smith has pitched relatively well this year. Boy, but yeah, I see minus 170 and a plus price on a run line on the Astros against the White Sox at home. That's not a bad way to look, at least in my eyes, Alex.
Well, especially definitely have a bullpen advantage for once these two starting pitchers go out as well. Shane Smith makes me a little nervous. Looking at some of his road starts, not quite as good. Now, I will give him, they were against some of the best teams. So against the Mets, he did get hit up pretty good. And then against the Cubs, can't really take too much from that best offense in the league right now. On the other side, man, I think that Lance McCullers has been so good, but I think he might be getting just a little bit too much hype here with that number. I mean, I think that's too high. I think it should be closer to minus 130, and I feel like I've been on the Astros when they're at home. So, I mean, it's more of a lean to the White Sox side, but I'm just going to pass on that one.
I'll just say for the White Sox, we've talked about it. You look at it, 22 and 44. They have at least shown some glimpses, unlike last year where they showed nothing whatsoever on the positive end. You mentioned Smith, Burke has pitched well in that rotation as well. There have been at least signs of, all right, this could get better at some point in a little bit nearer future than we anticipated. All right, let's go to Anaheim next. Angels, despite one of the greatest catches you'll ever see from Denzel Clark last night, Angels got it done 7-4 against the A's. A's just continue to really struggle. Angels actually ahead of the Rangers entering today's action as well. We Soriano and Spence, minus 45 on LA, plus 30 on the Athletics, and a total of 9 at the Big A tonight.
I think this is a good athletic spot. I really do. And it makes me a little nervous with Mitch Spence because he had a really good first start, but he has been up there, 39 innings pitched out of the bullpen before that start. So hopefully it's not that whole theory that my dad has where they take him out after he has a really good start. On the other side, I think Jose Soriano can be hit, and he's already seen this Athletics team. I think that helps their offense, which we have been talking about. It's really the struggles on the mound, not really at the plate. So I like it. I think that's a good price, plus 130, mostly because I just think that's too steep here on the Angels. So I'm going to take a shot. Right now, the Angels swept them in the first series, May 19th through the 22nd, and now take game 1. So let's go, Athletics. You got to at least get a 1, if not 2, from the Angels.
Moving along to interleague play. We start off with the Battle of Ohio Reds on the board last night with a victory. And, I feel after the way that game went, I felt pretty justified that we passed on Wade Miley, even though Miley yesterday was okay in 5 innings in his first start in almost a whole calendar year. Again, for Cleveland, I still expect Cleveland at some point for this to really backtrack for the Guards. I just don't trust them. They're minus 110 here today. It's Sassoni against Abbott, minus 05 on the Reds, total 8.5. This is a stay off, but again, really do feel like that worm's going to turn in the wrong direction for Cleveland at some point in the near future, Alex.
I mean, I think it is starting to, looking at their last 7, batting .230, just .343 slugging, and 85 WRC plus. I would love to back the Reds here. I think minus 105 is such a good price. And Abbott and the Guardians are not hitting lefties either. They are 26 OPS. So I think that's a cheap price. I think it should be closer to minus 130. Yeah, I think it's a red spot for sure. Take the first 2.
Next up, we go to St. Louis, Alex. Blue Jays won a drama-filled game last night to get on the board first. Jays, again, just do things with those AL East teams behind the Yankees. The Rays and the Jays have just very quietly pushed up. They're both 36 and 30 now after last night. It's Bassett and Michaelis, minus 15 on the Cards, even on the Jays, 8.5 the total. Pitching advantage to me for Toronto with Bassett. Cardinals, again, have played great at home, and with a loss, I'm a little bit concerned going against them. Would be a series win for Toronto with a win tonight, but Bassett is the better pitcher, and I'm getting even. It's not a bad look there if you want to take a shot on the Jays, at least in my eyes.
I definitely agree with the pitching advantage there. Michael is not a strikeout guy, and really his fastball is down 91.8 miles per hour, but I really wanted to go under in the first 5. I am a little concerned because Toronto has been hitting very well, but I think we could hold them enough here, and it's a nice 4.5. Yeah, that's definitely making the board. I'm going to go Blue Jays and Cardinals under 4.5 here, first 5.
And then last one, I like that too with those 2 pitchers, especially after last night's high-scoring affair early. We'll go to Arizona next. Diamondbacks won on a walk-off salami by Josh Naylor last night. Boy, if you had the under or Seattle with the run, you had a lot of bad beats in that game last night. It's Evans and Fott, your pitching matchup here today. Diamondbacks minus 25, total 9.5, Alex. I get to steer clear, even though, again, Mariners, This is the deal with the Mariners, highs and lows. The lows look real ugly, and it's been real ugly for Seattle. Seattle's only a game over 500. They were 10 games over 500 3.5 weeks ago. It has been an ugly run of it over the last 2.5, 3 weeks.
I think I got to look to try and back the Mariners first 5. So run line minus 135, but just plus 102 for the Mariners in the first 5. I do not like what I've seen from Brandon Pfaadt as of late. He has really kind of lost his command and everything. I mean, just 2 strikeouts to 2 walks, 5 hits, 5 earned runs in 3 innings pitched against Atlanta. And we don't even want to talk about the game before that. So I think that the Mariners are going to be able to get to him, definitely. And I think that Logan Evans will be able to do just enough here. His median numbers are actually really good, going at least 5 innings, 1 to 2 earned runs there for him. So, yeah, I like Mariners. I'm going to go plus 102 just for the first 5.
And there you go. There's your baseball card here for Tuesday, June 10th here on Sports by the Book. All right, trivia question will go on the bottom. When we get back, we have golf, we have the whiteboard, and we have more. When we get back, Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
Football contest sign-up season is here, and you don't want to miss out on the action. With millions of dollars on the line each and every week in the world's biggest football contest, there's only one proxy to trust, footballcontest.com. Maddie and Tony have set the gold standard for football contest proxy services with 20 years of experience and over $13 million in winnings for their clients. All you have to do is get to Vegas between now and the start of football season to sign up in person, and they do the rest, making sure your picks are entered every week. Whether you want to play in the Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, Super Contest Gold, or the new Super Contest College Contest, Maddie and Tony have you covered. Their new website has everything you need to know about these football contests and more, including how you can reserve the best proxy in the business. Experience matters, so go with the pros at footballcontest.com, the gold standard proxy service.
Sports by the Book.
Sports by the Book.
Sports by the Book. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
This is the best sports betting network.
I would argue it is a total mismatch.
There's value with underdog prices in series.
I would lean to the under here.
My numbers are saying I got to bet the Tigers.
Two-way action.
When in doubt, we juice that favorite, that extra nickel.
Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
Forget about it. The best.
Welcome back in Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. We'll get the whiteboard in a second. Just real quick, checking in with the chat. Dean and JR were on the under yesterday for Duke and Murray State. Not a good result for you long term. Those Duke futures that look pretty darn good go up in flames. Oh. Racers just become the 4th 4 seed ever to make it to the College World Series. They'll look to become the 2nd 4 seed ever to win it. That would join, of course, Fresno State, who did it against the University of Georgia in the mid-2000s. And also, shout out to our friend Sean Higgs. Thank you for the super chat. He's on the Rays, on the first 5 in the Braves, and on the under. Big shout out to our friend Sean. Thank you for the very generous super chat today. All right. We don't have a trivia winner yet, so we'll get that at the end of the program. But, Alex, we're going to get your whiteboard right now because we got Barry Phillips coming up in about 3 to 5 minutes from right now, previewing the U.S. Open.
I will say with Sean Higgs, I was actually really contemplating that Braves first 5 under as well. So I do like that one. I settled for 4 here. I also like the Reds if I could bet them, but they don't like me. So anybody else, and a little bit of the Athletics today. But I do like the Pirates minus 135 first 5 against Sandy on the other side. Pirates are playing good. try to keep that win streak going. I like the Yankees on the road. We're laying the run line here. -1.5 is -120. Blue Jays and Cardinals, I like under 4.5 for the first 5 with both those pitchers going. And then I like the Mariners +102. We're kind of going against Brandon Pfaadt here with Logan Evans on the side for Seattle. Just first 5, though. Don't have to worry about the bullpens in that one.
There you go. That's the quartet for Alex here today. A lot of first 5 flair, and the Yankees on the run line as the full game look here for this afternoon and evening. All right, we will take the shortest of breaks. When we get back, Barry Phillips joins us. You've heard Barry previewing the Masters with Alex earlier this year, and now we get the U.S. Open, the pageantry at Oakmont this week in Western Pennsylvania, and boy, it will be quite the show, as it always is with the U.S. Open. We'll get Barry's thoughts and more when we get back. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south-of-the-border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside.
Welcome back in at Sports by the Book. Here on a Tuesday, I'm Jeff Parles, happy to be with you. Alex White is alongside. And now joining us, the U.S. Open gets rolling on Thursday at Oakmont in Western Pennsylvania. It's our good friend Barry Phillips on the desk with us right now. Barry, good morning. It's good to have you in with us.
Great to be back. We only do a few of these a year, but that's what makes them so special, right, Jeff? The Masters. Alex and I did a show on that. We almost got there with Justin Rose. If you remember, we had Justin Rose at like 80-1, and he got in the playoff, and Rory knocked him up. But we actually had Rory as our chalk favorite over Scotty in that one. And it's a completely different golf tournament, Jeff, right? The Masters is all about birdies and eagles on the back nine. The Masters is so exciting with all the things happening, where the U.S. Open is a grind. And you just talked about Oakmont. It is a grind. If you finish at even par, you have a chance to win this tournament.
And you look, the USGA, we know the deal at this point. The USGA makes every course that they play, really, realistically speaking, hell on earth for these golfers, make it as difficult as they possibly can. And look, Barry, you just mentioned it. You're a legitimate shot. If you're 1 under, 2 under, by the time we get to about 6 o'clock Eastern on Sunday, you're going to have a darn good chance to win this golf tournament.
Yeah. So the last 2 times it was played there, Dustin Johnson won in 2016 at 4 under.
Yep.
And prior to that, Angel Cabrera won there in 07. He was +5.
Yep.
So, I mean, they make them tougher now. They're going to have these greens, I believe, north of 14. A typical PGA tournament, they're around 12. So that is super fast. So first off, you have to hit the fairways, because the rough is going to be more than ankle deep. That's all they've been talking about all week on the Golf Channel, is that you've got to hit fairways on this golf course. And U.S. Open is all about putting, because you're not going to make a ton of birdies and a ton of eagles, but you can't 3-putt. You got to 2-putt, make your pars, and get out of there. And the big key to the U.S. Open is bounce backs, because everybody's going to make bogeys. Everybody. I mean, Tiger made bogeys, Nicklaus made bogeys, Hogan made bogeys, and Scheffler's going to make bogeys. But Scheffler's advantage there is Scheffler's #1 on tour the last 3 years in bounce back. So he makes a bogey, he comes back with a par or birdie. He doesn't go bogey, double bogey, triple bogey like I do. So you got to get it. You got to get it bounce back, and that's why Scheffler is such a big chalk in this thing. And you mentioned it, Jeff. I mean, few years ago, it was Tiger or the field. Who do you want to take?
Sure.
And everybody took Tiger. We used to be in a bunch of pools, and all the pools' record rules were you can pick any golfer you want, 5 golfers, can't take Tiger. Because everybody took Tiger, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's how it is with Scheffler now. He's just so good. But with that said, he's number 30th on tour in driving accuracy. That's not his strength. He's a great ball striker. He's number 1 in the world, no doubt. But if you get in the rough here, you're not going to be making birdies for sure.
Who are you looking at that is really good at driving accuracy that you think has a shot?
Yeah, we're going to talk about him in our best bet segment,
Okay.
but I'll kind of let the cat out of the bag a little bit. But number 2 in driving accuracy on tour is Colin Morikawa. And he has a couple of majors to his credit, not a U.S. Open, but he drives the ball straight. Interesting what's going to take place, the weather a little bit. We didn't mention that, but it's going to be fine the first 2 days. But Saturday and Sunday, it's supposed to be like 40% chance of rain. That will soften the greens, but it'll make the rough even harder because wet, long grass, man, what do you
Good
get
luck.
out of it, right? The only thing you're going to get at that out with is a foot wedge, right? I mean, it's going to be tough to get the ball back into the fairway and then onto a wet, soggy green, and then it comes down to putting. So I like Morikawa. He drives the ball really well. There's a couple other guys that drive the ball really well. By the way, Rory, I believe, is 167th in driving accuracy, and he's having troubles with his driver right now. His driver was ruled non-compliance at the PGA, and since then, he has not hit the world. I mean, he went to the Canadian last week and was 9 over. And he went home all weekend reportedly and hit drivers all day long, Saturday and Sunday, to try and find one. So Rory is not one of my picks in this, and the reason is his driving accuracy is not very strong. Guys that do hit the fairway, Sepp Straka, number 11 on the PGA Tour in fairways hit. Pretty impressive when you're able to hit fairways like that. Morikawa is one that hits a lot of fairways. Ludwig Ahlberg hits a lot of fairways. He's in the he's like 85th or 87th, depending on what he's done the last couple of weeks. So those 3 hit a lot of fairways. Lucas Glover, guy who won this tournament when it was at Black Page, is number 7th in driving accuracy. And I believe he's like at 100-1 in this tournament. Not that I'm going to put any money on him, but he could be a guy you look at maybe leading the first round or leading the second round, something like that. He doesn't tend to finish well, but he drives the ball well, and that'll be key.
Well, let's look at some value down the board shots here before we look at your best bets. But you just mentioned Lucas Glover. 100-1 to be the first round leader. And then 2 other guys that are down the board that are names that golf fans are very familiar with that you like at big, long numbers here this week.
Well, Shane Lowry is a name that comes up that is like a fan favorite. He won the British Open going away a couple of years ago. The guy is a fun guy to watch play, drives the ball extremely well. Last week, he was right in it. He threw a 62 up, I think, or 63 up on Sunday. He kind of stumbled coming down the finish, but he's 50-1 to win the whole thing. And I kind of like Shane Lowry a little bit as a value play. We had Justin Rose at the Masters, and he just missed. He didn't show up at the PGA, but he's 100-1. He's a former U.S. Open winner. I like guys that have won before at this level. Realistically, when you look at the field, there's maybe 10 or 12 guys that should win this tournament. It's not like the PGA where they have a surprise winner every couple of years, a guy you never heard of, John Daly being one of the examples, Rich Beam another one. But the U.S. Open is typically the cream of the crop. And so you're always looking at the top of the page. But if you're going to try and look at some value, guys that haven't won at a major, Tommy Fleetwood. Tommy Fleetwood's at 30-1. There's a couple other guys. Russell Henley's a guy I really like a lot. He's 60-1. And I mentioned Sepp Straka. He opened at 70. He's bet down to 30. So there's a lot of value in the middle of the field. Don't know if you're going to cash those tickets because it's Scotty Scheffler or anybody, but those guys are guys that you can maybe put a little bet on, and then you have some action going into it because no one's going to run away with this tournament. It's going to be a full leaderboard right around +3 to -3 come Sunday, I believe.
Before we get to your best bets, I do want to talk about the cream of the crop, the top there with Scotty Scheffler. Now, you talked about some of the advantages and disadvantages of him. What about Bryson DeChambeau? Mm-hmm. And then you did talk about Rory, who has really just kind of fallen off since he won that Masters. But Bryson DeChambeau, is that somebody, or where do you feel he is right now?
No, he's right there. I mean, he's 7-1. And so the last 6 majors have been won by Scotty Scheffler's won 2 of them. Xander Schauffele's won 2 of them. Bryson has won 1, and Rory's won 1. And those are, three of the top 4 players in the world. Scotty's 1, Rory's 2, Xander's 3, Morikawa's 4. And unfortunately, Bryson's not in there because he plays on the LIV Tour. But Bryson's been right there. He was right. He won it last year. Remember the Classic last year at the U.S. Open when he beat Rory on the final hole with the unbelievable, one of the best sand shots of all time. I like Bryson. He's actually one of my plays. Not a big play, but he's a guy I'm going to probably just have a little bit on just because, first off, he's a fan favorite. He's so fun to watch, right? Everybody loves the guy right now. And he's really John Rahm is on the top of the betting board as well. I think John Rahm is at 7 or 8 or 10. I think he's 10. John Rahm won in 2021, but since joining the LIV has not done anything. So the LIV players are DeChambeau, who I like, Rahm, who's playing really well but hasn't done anything since the LIV, joining the LIV. The other one is Brooks Koepka, one of just 7 guys to ever win back-to-back U.S. Opens. He's 40-1. Hasn't been doing anything since he joined the LIV. He's had 1 top 7 finish in a major. So, all these guys on the LIV Tour, they got that money and they find it really exciting and fun. All they talk about is how fun it is to be on the LIV, playing 54 holes, shotgun start, music playing, eating a taco between holes, whatever they do. But that's not the U.S. Open. The U.S. Open is not fun. It is a grind. And I don't know if the LIV guys are up to it except for DeChambeau.
Koepka's missed the Cotton Bolt majors this year as well. It's just not the same guy who he only showed up in majors when he was on the PGA Tour.
And he won 5 of them, Jeff.
I know.
Everyone's thinking he's going to catch Tiger. And then he goes to the LIV and just disappeared. I mean, it's hard to stay. That's what was so great about Tiger was Tiger had all the money in the world and he still was so motivated to practice and go out there. How do you motivate yourself to play when you've got $100 million in the bank without winning? I mean, you don't have to do anything to get it. You just got it given to you. So interesting to see. I mean, I've never been a big LIV fan. And really, it's only those 3 guys that are on LIV that anybody talks about when they keep talking about we got to get all the best players together again. If those 3 guys could come back, I don't think anybody would watch the LIV ever.
Let's jump to some matchups. You brought up Morikawa, and I will say Jeff and I, last year, we bet him quite often, at least top 10 in most of these majors. So who do you like him matched up against to win this weekend?
Well, Chris has an outstanding board for the U.S. Open for matchups. I mean, there's got to be 70 of these things or 80 of these things on this page, right? So I like one right near the top of the page, Xander Schauffele and Collin Morikawa. I just barely touched on Xander Schauffele. He's struggling this year. He's been hurt. He had a rib injury, never been able to recover, hasn't shown up anywhere all year long. And I think it's just a matter of it's one of those years he's got to rehab. So it's Morikawa versus Schauffele. Schauffele is minus 110. Morikawa is plus 110. I love Morikawa in that matchup. With that said, I bet Xander Schauffele for like 3 years. That guy's one of my favorite players.
Right.
Injury, he can't get there. So I like Morikawa in that spot.
You said that before the Masters, too. You were like, be careful. He's getting a lot of hype. But coming off of that rib injury, and you're right, it's been a struggle for him this year.
I mean, golf, it's funny, just a little teeny scrape on your finger. It's not like football where you can play through injuries. Golf, teeny little injuries make a big difference, and you got to be in sync. So I'm not backing Schauffele in anything, top 10, top 20, anything this time. He'll probably win now, but I'm not backing him. Another one I really love, Sepp Straka. I mentioned him earlier. This guy bombs the ball and hits it straight. That's key. U.S. Open, hit it long, hit it straight. He's never won a major, which is a little scary. First-time major isn't the U.S. Open typically, but there's been a few that have been there. Webb Simpson's one that got there in the U.S. Open. So I like Sepp Straka against Corey Connors. And Corey Connors coming off a big week last week. He was playing the Canadian Open. He's Canadian, and he had a lot of hype going into it, and he didn't finish well. So he's probably down just a little bit. Connors is actually minus $120 in that one. I like Straka at even money in that bet. And my third one is Koepka against Fitzpatrick. Matthew Fitzpatrick has won a U.S. Open. So has Brooks Koepka, winning back-to-back, but not since 18. And Matthew Fitzpatrick is minus 115 in there. Fitzpatrick hasn't done a whole lot this year, but he always seems to show up at the U.S. Open and the tougher golf courses, so I like him. Do you like any of those, Alex? Because last time we did this show, on the people who wrote stuff on the reviews, and they're going, "Great, we like Barry, but where's Alex's pick?" Do you have any of those matchups you like?
It's so funny because as you're going through it, just you hear so many different names. I heard Tommy Fleetwood. I was like, yeah. Where is he?
Yeah.
So it gets a little overwhelming. But I do have a bet on Bryson DeChambeau, and that was by accident because my dad had put it in for the last major, but it was for this one. So I have that one going into this weekend, but I may need to look for some other matchups in top 10 as well.
Barry, I just want to ask you one follow-up to just everything we've talked about so far, and Scheffler's plus 250 to win this golf tournament, and he's obviously a favorite in every single matchup that he's in. It just is real. Like looking through this, I know he's never won the U.S. Open. I understand. But is there any way to justify betting a plus 250 in this golf tournament, even if you like him? No, right?
Well, I'll tell you all the reasons you do bet him. I mentioned earlier bounce back.
Yeah.
Number two is you just mentioned he hasn't won there, and this guy is a major monster. He's won the Masters twice. He's ready to just really go on a tear and have a chance to win what Rory had just accomplished, winning the Grand Slam. Best ball striker on tour by far. Great putter. Doesn't make a lot of big numbers. So there are a lot of reasons to like Scottie Scheffler in this tournament, but I don't like it's not worth betting it for me at 2-1. I'd rather try and hit something, and if Scheffler wins, great. I'll cheer him on, and you lose some money, but as a fan, you like to see the guy win. So I'm not. All right, you're going to take the chalk. This is what we said in the Masters. You're going to take the chalk. Take Rory. If you're going to take the chalk, take Scotty. But no, you're. I got a number for you. Jeff has a great question. I forgot the stat. I was going to tell you. If you bet Scottie Scheffler every tournament since 2022, you'd win 65% of your money versus the S&P 500, which is only up 30%. How about that number?
Yeah.
Just bet Scottie Scheffler $100 every week for the last 3 years, and you'd be up 65%.
That's pretty damn good.
Because he's always, not in the majors. He's always 7, 8, 9 to 1.
Yeah.
You take that kind of number. Why not?
Oh my God.
Well, up until last week, he had as many wins as Colorado Rockies did in the previous month. Right. So
he started the year slow.
Right? Yeah, slow, exactly.
He had a cut hand. He missed the first month of the season.
Yeah, it's look, it is incredible what he has turned into, and of course got his first PGA. It's kind of amazing. He's only won 3 majors, but at some point he's going. You imagine he'll join Rory and Tiger as a career Grand Slamist when it's all said and done. But Barry, let's just go back to where you started here, and Colin Morikawa is 20-1, and you mentioned him in your matchups. You mentioned him throughout this. Mm-hmm. Colin, of course, has won the PGA. He's won the British Open. This is one of the 2 majors he has not won yet, and sitting at 20-1 this week.
He's my best bet at 20-1. When we get to best bets, I'll throw out. I want to just throw out a few more names. I was looking at my notes. Please. I skipped right over, and we talked about value a little bit. There's a couple of guys in here that you might consider, small wagers on just because the number's so high. Sam Burns. Last week, the guy almost won at Canada. He's one of the best putters on tour, so the fast green should work to his favor, although he ended up 3-putting in the playoff to lose. But Sam Burns played good the last couple of weeks, and he's 60-1. Another guy you never want to count out, Hideki Matsuyama. He's 50-1, and Hideki is always there, and he's been in 11 U.S. Opens. He's missed the cut 1 time. So he tends to be in the number and have a chance on Saturday and Sunday. So I like that guy. Ludwig Ahlberg, who is a guy I went all in on the Masters. He's 15-1. No majors. He's the lowest odds of any non-major winner on the board at 18-1 or 20-1, wherever you get him at. So those are all guys that you can look at. John Rahm's 10-1 we mentioned. But those are just some guys. And then Stratka. Oh, here's the one guy that I do actually like that I think has got a really good shot to do a couple of things is Ben Griffin. He's 60-1. A couple of weeks ago, he was right there going back to back, and Scheffler beat him. And Jim Nantz on CBS said the 2 hottest golfers in the world, Ben Griffin and Scottie Scheffler. So he's been bet down from 200-1 to 60-1, by the way. Yeah. So Ben Griffin's up there. The other thing I like to bet, Jeff, is I like to bet first round leaders. And That's what we had a shot at with Justin Rose in the Masters. Justin Rose ended up leading after the first round when he shot the low score, and he was 100-1 in the first round there, so that was a jackpot. This tournament, first round leaders, I like Russell Henley. Russell Henley's a guy that you can get as a first-round leader. Chris will have those numbers up later today. He didn't have them finalized before this show, but he said they'd be up today. But that's going to be somewhere in around the 50 to 60 range. Shane Lowry, he's going to be at 30 to 35 to 1, first-round leader. Another guy, he might not win it, but he has a chance right there as a first-round leader. So those are two guys I like as first-round leaders. And Ben Griffin, as I mentioned, as a first-round leader. The value plays, I just mentioned them. A couple of other guys that are on the board there's just so many names in this thing that are value. I'm not saying bet them because they're value, but you mentioned Scotty Scheffler being such a large chalk. But how about Patrick Cantley? Hasn't won a major. Guy has been right there many times, 40 to 1. And Tony Finau. Yep. He's a guy that's got to win at some point, doesn't he, Jeff? I mean, this guy's every week he seems to put a 62 on the board. But then he puts a 72 on the board. But Tony Finau is at 75 to 1. And then, as I mentioned, Ben Griffin is a guy that I like as some really value there as well. So there we go. So the best bets overall is Colin Morikawa as my 20 to 1 pick, is a guy that I like a lot. I'm going to go all in on. Those other names that I mentioned, I'm going to have smaller wagers on so that I have some action, because I don't believe, even if Scotty Scheffler wins this, it's not going to be in a boat race. And the winning score, I think, will be somewhere around -4 or -5 at the best, depending on what happens on that weather on Saturday and Sunday.
From what I've, kind of paying attention, mostly just the majors though, but I always, have my phone and my ESPN, and then I see Thursday and Fridays come in. I feel like Scotty's more of a Saturday, Sunday anyways, right? So that first round winner, I do like going after some of those long shots there.
Yeah, Scotty's like Tiger used to be. He'll just shoot his 68, 69, be close, but not there. Where these other guys tend to try and go low. They blow their wad on Thursday or Friday. Those first round, second round leaders, there's a lot of value in those, because those are guys that are not going to be there on Sunday typically. Look what happened at the Masters, right? Justin Rose led it on Thursday. Incredible. Friday he did okay. Saturday tanked. Then comes back Sunday and gets into the playoffs. So you never know who's going to shoot that low score for the day.
Well, everything was Bryson and Rory head-to-head on Sunday, and then he falls back, and there comes Justin Rose right back in it.
And I don't think you're going to hurt yourself if you take Bryson at 7 to 1. That's probably one of the better low value picks that he's going to be there. He's not going to blow up. That guy's been playing really well on the LIV. He finished 4th last week in the LIV tournament in Virginia. And how do you not root for the guy? He's just fun to watch. So Bryson's there as well. I've thrown a lot of them out there, but Morikawa, who's going to have my wallet.
Yeah.
Ellen, look at like we said, Morikawa. This is one of the two he has not won, and for a tournament where ball striking is so important, we know Colin Morikawa's past history with the irons. He's as good as anyone with irons, and as you said, he's had a great statistical year with the driver, which sets up pretty nicely here in Oakmont this week. It's going to be the U.S. It's always fun to watch the U.S. Open for a ton of reasons. Barry, the cynic in me makes it always of, I love watching the best in the world hack it up like I do on a Muni.
Right.
And they're doing it on the grandest stage. But again, what a tournament this will be. And Barry's on Morikawa and your other best bets that you mentioned, those matchups, Morikawa over Schauffele, Fitzpatrick over Koepka, Straka over Connors, and then Lowry and Henley with those big numbers in round 1 for Barry this week. Barry, it was awesome to have you in. Thank you so much. Let's plan on doing this again for the Open Championship.
Sure, yeah. The British Open coming up in a few weeks in July. Great to see you. Great to see you two again, Alex. Thanks, guys.
Barry Phillips, everyone, here on Sports by the Book, here on a Tuesday to preview the United States Open getting going this weekend, Thursday morning in Oakmont in Western Pennsylvania. All right, before we get out of here, trivia. I forgot to mention it earlier, Alex. Vince's question of the day was, which team won the first professional sports championship for their city on this date in 1996? It's kind of amazing that it was the Colorado Avalanche, who were the first team ever to win a cup for the city of Denver, and really was the first championship for the state of Colorado as well. Broncos hadn't won their Super Bowl at that point. Avalanche beat, of course, the Florida Panthers. Krupp with the game winner in triple overtime for the Avs. Their first cup coming across. It would be the first of 7 championships for the city of Denver. Of course, the Broncos got in on the act with 3 Super Bowl championships. Avs have won 2 more cups themselves for 3, and of course, 1 Denver Nugget championship for the Mile High City. JR got it right, by the way, Alex. So JR back on the board after Nick had started the month of June with supremacy.
And, we've got 20 days left. We'll see. It'll probably be a race for those 2.
Be a nice little race to get it done, for sure. All right. That's all we got for you. Alex, thank you. Shout out to the crew, Jerry, Ryan, Ann, Vince, Drew Dog. Thank you all. Big thanks to Barry Phillips for hopping on with us today as well to preview the U.S. Open. We're back tomorrow. Kenny's with us as well. Game 3 of the NBA Finals finally goes tomorrow as well. So we'll preview that and a full day of baseball tomorrow, 10 a.m. right here, Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.